Were you ever terrified of the thing you used to love the most? Well, I loved surfing, and I wish I had known what would happen. My life was never the same after I decided to surf one day. I was attacked by a shark. Yes, a big, huge shark. I know it sounds like a horror movie. I still can't believe it happened to me. Let me back up a little bit and tell you the whole story. Hi everyone, I'm Tony, and ever since I was little, I loved water, the ocean, and the waves. I lived with my mom and dad near the beach, and I went there every chance I had. When I was very young, maybe 3 or 4, my dad bought me my first surfboard and took me to try it out. I fell in the water so many times, but eventually, I made it. First, I was able to surf for a little while, but then I succeeded, and people told me I'm a prodigy surfer and that they never seen anything like it. I loved it. The waves, the freedom, the energy, the blue sky, flying with the fish. Now at 15, I've already won so many competitions, and my dad and family go with me to all of them. It's the most amazing feeling to have such support from the people closest to you. I've visited many famous surfing beaches and conquered them. From the Wall in New Hampshire to Mavericks Beach in California, I love the waves, and they love me. When I surf, I become one with the ocean. And that unique serenity, that calmness dawns on me. It's like a blanket of bliss. Every summer, my dad thinks of a new location for us to visit. And lately, we talked about fulfilling my longtime dream of visiting some of the most amazing places like Hawaii or the Florida Keys. When summer came, my dad said he found the best place and they already rented an RV for us to go to the Florida Keys. I jumped for joy. They have the best waves and it's just beautiful. The white sands, the light blue waters, and the waves are to die for. The drive was long, but we took turns driving the RV. It was fun. We played games, listened to music, and made a few rest stops on the way. Once we got to the Keys and parked the RV, we opened the door and unlocked the boards. I was all pumped and ready to go test the waves. I was so excited. I felt my entire body tingling. Or it could have just been the cramps from driving hours on end, but I choose to believe the former. The place was more amazing than any video or pictures I've seen while researching the best locations for surfing. The sun hit the waves and sand in just the right angle, and you could actually see the seafoam and the sand sparkling. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced. I was overjoyed, exploding from the inside. I took my board and ran straight into the waves, laid on my board and started paddling toward the big wave that was coming toward me. Jumping on the board at the right time, I merged with the wave and started sliding through the pipe that was formed by the falling water. It was so fast and so amazing that it felt like as if time had slowed down, and I heard my heartbeat with the pulse of the ocean. After a few times, I felt as if that was it for me. But when I looked back, I saw the most beautiful wave. It must have been at least 15 meters high. I was so amazed and excited that I turned around and paddled toward it. I tried to do a flip jump to enter the wave pipe from the air, but I missed it, probably because I was so tired. I should have listened to my body and went to rest. I fell into the water, and my leg was cut by something, maybe a tall reef or the board. I really have no idea how it happened. It stung, but I didn't have time to take care of it as I needed to grab my board and paddle out of there towards the beach. That's when I felt this chill run through my entire body. It was terrifying. I was not alone there. I saw something in the distance when I was grabbing my board and trying to get my bearings. I looked again, and it looked like a fin. A big one, a really big one, and it was getting closer. Oh my God, I had to get out of there. If only I could catch the next wave, but I missed it, and the next one was a few minutes away. I just had small, bumpy waves that only slowed me down, so I started paddling with all my strength, but I was so exhausted from surfing all day that I started screaming and waving, but the beach was too far away. Looking back, the fin got closer and closer. I remember the movie Jaws, and it didn't end too great for any of the victims. I started praying. I thought to myself, oh no, what will I do? This can't be happening to me. Why now? Why is this happening here? I'm too young to die. I have so many things to do, so many places to visit, so many people to meet. This can't be happening to me now. I started feeling the shark's skin on the side of my body. I thought my heart was going to stop beating from fear. When I dared to look, I saw it. The shark was huge, at least 3 meters long, and before I knew it, it was coming at me with its huge mouthful of a million rows of sharp triangular teeth. It was so fast. I tried to kick it in the nose and I screamed in fear, but it just moved aside so quickly. I remember it biting me and the board. Thank God for the board. Its sharp teeth got stuck in it, but he broke it in half easily. The shark tore into my chest and back. I saw a mist of blood all over the water and couldn't believe it was all mine. Suddenly, the shark released me and backed off and swam away. When I looked up, a rescue boat was almost on top of me. They must have scared the shark off of me and it disappeared. The lifeguards jumped into the water and collected me with a vest. They placed me into their boat and put a million bandages all over me. It was horrifying. My vision was already pretty blurry and I was so weak and cold. It was so odd not to be in control of my own body. I heard muffled sounds that it'll be okay. The next time I opened my eyes, I had an oxygen mask on my mouth and my entire body was strapped onto a board. They lifted me into a helicopter and took me to the hospital. At that point, no one knew if I was going to live, but I did. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed. My dad was beside me, clenching his head in his two hands. He was rocking back and forth in his chair, mumbling something. After a little while, I heard him say, "My baby girl, I'm so sorry," over and over again. I tried to talk, but only a whisper came out. My throat really hurt as if it was on fire. "Water? Can I get some water?" I uttered with great difficulty. My dad's head bobbed up and he said, "Tony," and then, "Honey, you're awake. Everything is going to be okay." He then gave me a glass of water with a straw. I tried to take a sip, but my head was so heavy I must have spilled some water on my hospital gown. My dad cleaned it with a little rug and gave me the straw again. "I'm so sorry, honey. I tried to protect you. I ran into the water, but I was just not fast enough," he cried. "I'm okay, Dad. I'll be okay. I promise. It must look much worse than it really is." I whispered with my fiery throat. I must have told him that it was not his fault over 100 times. He eventually calmed down a little before going into his panic again. This routine stretched for almost our entire stay at the hospital. I couldn't believe I was taking it easier than he did, and I was the one in the shark's mouth a few days ago. After a few days at the hospital and many tests, they released me to go home and asked that I stay on bed rest for a few weeks at the very least. They said not to do any strenuous activity as it may rip the stitches. And oh boy, you would not believe how many 220 stitches is. The bite was from my lower chest where the ribs are, all the way around my shoulder to almost my lower back. If the rescue boat didn't come when it did, the doc said that the shark would have ripped me in half. I was the luckiest girl he has ever seen in his 30 years as a surgeon. He was the best. The shark also punctured my lungs in several places, which required a lengthy surgery. When I got home, I was so afraid to even look at myself in the mirror for the fear of what I'd see there. After a while, and with the help of my mom, I lifted my shirt a little and saw it. It was horrible. It looked like a horror movie, but for real. The bites left teeth marks and rip marks in a huge arc from my chest all the way to my back. When I first looked at myself naked in the mirror, I broke down in tears. I used to have an amazing body, and now I was a freak. After a few weeks, my wounds healed, and I started doing physical therapy so I could walk properly again. It was hard work, but I was an athlete all my life, and I knew how to do my regimens and how to handle the muscle pain. It was just another challenge, and I knew I could overcome it with ease, but the mental pain? What would all the boys and girls at school say? It was really weighing on me. It was sometimes too much to bear. So much that I couldn't breathe. My mom or dad would run to me with a paper bag and told me to calmly put my mouth and nose inside the bag and try to breathe normally again. After a while, I had the paper bag near me at all times and I would use it. What if they think I'm a deformed monster? What if no one will want to speak to me again? But it wasn't only that. When I got back home, I became bothered by every single beach picture I had on my walls. And for many nights, sleeping seemed like an impossible mission, and I kept waking up in the middle of the night. You can't imagine all the shark nightmares I was having. When it was finally time, I had to go to school, whether I wanted to or not. I had to put on a brave face, and whatever will be, will be. I stood near the doors of my school for at least a few long moments, calming my breathing before taking the plunge. But eventually, I opened the doors. When I walked in, the hallway was bustling with people. They were talking, smiling, and shouting, and doing what they do in between classes. Then some of them noticed me, and a big silence came over the entire hall. They looked at me with big, googly eyes. I wasn't sure what to expect, but this was definitely not it. After a few seconds, a boy close to me started clapping. The rest of the kids in the hall started clapping as well. And then I saw some of the teachers coming out of their classrooms to see what was going on, and they also joined in the clapping. They cheered and came to shake my hands when I walked to my locker. They were all smiling and happy. The girl who fought the shark and won. "Shark girl," they all said, cheering. I was asked to tell my story in the grand assembly in the gym, and then again to the local news that came by to interview me and my dad about the event. Random people in town were so nice and kind. They all said nice things. They were glad that I made it and said that I'm an inspiration. I get free milkshakes at the local cafe, and everyone knows me. When I got my strength back, I went to the beach again, alone. And with my family, but I preferred to sit on the nice, warm sand and watch the waves crash. I still love the ocean and the waves, but I just don't feel that passion for surfing anymore. Did you ever get attacked by a wild animal? Tell us your story in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video with your friends.